Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my monthly wrap up for the month of April. It's the last day of the month here. We have an awesome haul to get to this month and wanted to talk about my reading for sure. Uh, this month took a little bit of an unexpected turn. I did end up getting sick like 2 weeks in a row. Which was pretty whack. I was sick for like a week and then thought I was getting better and then got sick again. So that really cut into my reading time, which I'll talk about here in just a minute. So if you guys were wondering where I've been, that is it. So yeah, I'm not going to dilly-dally too much. We're going to start off by just going over some life updates and what's going on with the channel. Then we're going to talk about my reading this month, and then finally this glorious haul we have for the month as well. So if you guys go on to enjoy the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into it. All right, so yeah, told you guys got sick again. That was pretty lame. It was a really bad cough that I had. It was terrible. I got 4 hours of sleep multiple nights, just because like I could not stop coughing, and I'm still working on getting rid of the last vestiges of this cough I had. It's been a struggle for sure, but I'm finally decent enough to make content and get back in the gym. That's another thing. It cut into the, obviously I didn't want to go to the gym and be coughing on everybody. And not only that, but, working out and causing myself to cough more. It was just not a great week last week. But like I said, we're back. And that took like a whole week off of my reading because I could not focus on reading. And then I took a couple days out of school. And then when I got back, I had like makeup work and was still not feeling great. So it was really the middle of last week and into this week now that I've picked up reading again. And let me tell you, it's kind of been difficult to get back into reading after haven't read anything in like a week, and especially with something like what I'm currently reading. It's just taken me by surprise, and I'll talk about that again more in a few. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on. I've got effectively this week and then like a couple more weeks left after that of school. So that's pretty cool. It's crunch time at the moment. That being said, there's a couple of my classes where I really don't have anything left to do. So I'm trying to take advantage of that time to do some reading for sure and work on other stuff for other classes. But yeah, we're at the end of the road here. That's what I've had going on. Let's talk about some reading, shall we? So, at the end of last month, I read Dark Age by Pierce Brown, which is on the shelf over there, but that's book 5 of Red Rising. And then right after, I did pick up book 6, Lightbringer. I know there's a glare because of the Mylar wrap here, which honestly was not a great idea on my part to just dive right into a 650-page novel after reading, I think Dark Age is near 800 pages. It's a long book, and I'm going to be honest, like, I liked Dark Age, but it took a lot out of me. It was a long book, and it wasn't what I was expecting coming from a Red Rising book, which I'm still, and I'll talk about this more in my Red Rising review I plan on doing. But when it transitions from like the first 3 books, it's very snappy. It's a very quick and easy read. But going into the next 4, you can't have that same mindset, or else you're going to be trudging through. And I feel like even after reading Iron Gold, I still had this sort of mindset that this is like a snappy, super fast-paced series. And Dark Age really pumped the brakes, and it destroyed me a little bit as far as like my reading stamina. I'm not gonna lie, the middle of that book I felt like I kind of trudged through. Granted, I liked what was happening, but it took a lot of my reading power. So getting right into Lightbringer afterwards might not have been the best idea. But I did get through Lightbringer this month. I started out, read like the first fifth of it, so it's like, I think fifth, or I don't know. It was like, I don't know where I got that fraction from, but it was like 200 pages, so I guess more like a third. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was like 25%. I'm not sure, but it was getting to me, and I was really liking what was happening at the beginning of Lightbringer here. And I've heard that Lightbringer was awesome, and I didn't want me being burnt out because of Dark Age to ruin my experience of what's supposed to be one of the best books in the series. So I took a little break from Lightbringer early on, and from there, I picked up Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This was just a short, easy read, very fast-paced, and it was so addictive. Now, honestly, this isn't something I would normally read. I picked it up probably over, like, about a year ago, maybe. It may have been over last summer, honestly, that I picked it up. I can't remember when I got it, but I picked it up just on a whim, kind of, because I heard people talking about it at the time. And it just sounded intriguing. And I wasn't planning on reading this for a while, but it just seemed like the perfect time, because I never want to completely stop reading, because I like to always be reading something. So I figured it'd be a good refresher just to get something, what I suspected to be a quick, easy thrill ride, also sci-fi. But I wasn't expecting it to be that good. It was honestly a fantastic book. Yeah, it was just so addictive, and I'm starting to realize that my favorite form of storytelling is honestly first-person present. It is a really engaging form of writing, and that's why I loved the first 3 books of Red Rising so much. First person is my jam. I love a good framing narrative, but something about present, just being in the action and just feeling it's so raw, the emotion that the character's going through and how they're explaining things to you. And especially with subject matter like in Red Rising, or in this case, Dark Matter, it really hits you in the feels. And it's like crack in a book. Like, it's just addictive as, like, crap. Like, it's great. The story was awesome. I liked the characters. And, yeah, it was just a nice, easy, refreshing read. So, I finished Dark Matter within a few days. Like, it was really quick. And then I felt pretty refreshed to get back into Lightbringer here. And then I blazed through the rest of that. Really enjoyed it. I think Lightbringer is one of my favorite Red Rising books. Probably my second favorite. I still think Golden Sun is a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite books of all time. The Lightbringer is probably in second place. Yeah, it took a turn as far as the plot that I wasn't expecting, but I was kind of hoping for. And it feels almost like, at some points, it feels almost like a Guardians of the Galaxy or like a Cowboy Bebop kind of space opera, like a space western space opera kind of vibe, which I am absolutely here for. You got that motley crew of characters banding together, and it's just awesome. And I'll talk more about my thoughts into that whenever I do my Red Rising reviews. So anyways, I'm really enjoying Red Rising, and now that I'm caught up, man, I can't wait for that final book. Red God is going to be some heat. I loved how Lightbringer ended. Yeah, there's just so much cool stuff that could happen in Red God, hopefully next year. So, yeah, I can't wait for that. Lightbringer was awesome. And then when I finished that, it wasn't very soon after, or it was very soon after, or it wasn't very long after. That's what I was meaning to say. That I got sick. So then I took like a week, maybe 2 weeks, week and a half off of reading. And then I think it was last week I started reading one of my most anticipated reads for the year. That being Empire of Silence by Christopher Verrocchio. I'm finally starting Sun Eater, guys. And I'm currently, as of recording this, about a quarter through. This has been kind of a challenge to read. Like I said, getting into the groove of reading again after being sick was, just challenging. I don't know. But the way that this is written, it's not necessarily like overtly difficult. Like, the vocabulary isn't insane. I understand everything that's happening, but Christopher Verrocchio has just such a way with words that I find myself really having to slow down with this book and take in everything. It's not snappy like how, Dark Matter or, early Red Rising is, which, I had to do a rain check when I read Lightbringer because it's not the same vibe. But my point being is that Empire of Silence, and it seems to me the Sun Eater definitely isn't that either. It's very, I wouldn't say it's slow, but I have to chew my food here, so to speak. So it's taken me some time not only getting back into reading, but getting back into reading with something of the caliber of Empire of Silence here. It's just taking me a minute. I planned to have read this by the end of the month and finished it, but like I said, me getting sick cut into my reading time, so that's not happening. So hopefully I can finish this by early May, hopefully in the next week or two, hopefully closer to a week. We'll just have to see what happens. But I know that I do want to start Oathbringer here soon, so I do want to get through this, but it might take me a little bit longer. We'll just have to see. It's not that big of a deal. But yeah. Anyways, as far as like what I'm actually feeling about the story and stuff, though, I'm liking it. It's reminding me a lot of Dune, and I know Verrocchio is a big Dune fan. But I wasn't expecting the similarities to be so overt, and that's not a problem for me whatsoever. I love seeing when authors and creators wear their inspirations on their sleeve, and I'm very much the same. Whenever I come around to hopefully publishing my own work, there are so many references to pop culture and different pieces of media that, you guys are probably going to be sick of it. But yeah, Verrocchio obviously loves Dune. This seems to be like a love letter to Dune. But I'm really enjoying what's happening here. The start is definitely a little slow. There hasn't been a whole lot that's happening yet, but I feel like I'm getting to the point about a quarter in where it's starting to get actually interesting now. Got to the part, not trying to spoil too much, but I think the last part I read is Hadrian coming out of his cryostasis for the first time. So that's, if you guys have read it, but that's currently where I'm at. So definitely very early on, but like I said, the way that Verrocchio writes is just fantastic. This world, I can tell, just feels so vast. And I can tell also that this world feels very bleak, which might also be why I'm having a little bit of a harder time getting through it. I like that it's bleak, it's cool, it's dark. It's written in a way where it feels like dark and cold, and slower going, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like there's worlds that are dark and like bleak, but they inspire a sort of like quickness with how you read it, I guess. I don't know. I'm going off here. My point is that I'm having to chew my food here. It's a dark world, and I'm liking it though. It's just going to take me a little bit longer to get through it than I originally expected. So yeah, that is about all I read this month. Now we have an insane haul to get through. So, where to begin here? I guess, staying on brand with the Sun Eater, that's what we were just talking about. First thing I do want to show off is I did get my copy of Disquiet Gods hardcover, and I did pre-order this one, and I did it through Ruakio's local bookstore, Quail Ridge Books, and they had this little event thing. Sadly, I cannot go. It's a little out of my reach at the moment, but you were able to pre-order it and have it set aside to get signed by Mr. Ruakio, so that is exactly what I did. I had it made out to me, and yeah, this is just so cool, being able to get something like that. It's not only is it signed, which is kind of cool to have, but it's made out to you personally. And granted, it's not anything like super like special, where it's like he wrote out like a heartfelt message. It just has my name on it. But, and he was probably sitting there signing, and then next book, sure. But it's still cool to have. And yeah, I mean, brand new Sun Eater book. It looks awesome. And yeah, I can't wait to get to this point in the series. But I know that it's going to be epic because I've got a personalized hardcover waiting for me for when I do. Next up, another part of me just filling in pieces of my collection. Finally, it came back in stock because it was out of print for like a month, or it was like maybe a couple months for absolutely no reason, and it was extremely hard to find, but it came back, so I did get Golden Sun in hardcover. It was hard to find for a minute there for like no reason, so I had a little bit of a hole in my collection. Of course, I had the paperback of the first trilogy, which I will be giving to my girlfriend now. But yeah, now I officially have all of the hardcovers of the Red Rising series, the saga, and I have my favorite book of the series in hardcover, so that's also pretty cool. Next up, I did manage to get myself on eBay, found a nice copy. I got A Feast for Crows, Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. This is the next book that I need to read in the series. I might get to that this year. It was one of my goals to finally finish The Song of Ice and Fire this year, but there's been other things on my plate, and who knows, this might be another year where I don't get to it. I would like to, but we'll see. It's just very daunting, and it's not one that I've really thought about doing, for a minute. There's just other stuff that I care more about to do at the moment. But nonetheless, I did get this first edition hardcover, so that's just cool to have. I'm trying to go back and fill in my hardcovers for A Song of Ice and Fire, because it is one of my favorite series. I just haven't finished it. So I do have a first edition of Storm of Swords. I don't really care if it's like first edition or not. I just want like the unique older designs. So whether they're like the first prints, I don't really care. So I do have a hardcover of Dance with Dragons, Storm of Swords, and now Feast for Crows. And of course, getting those OG hardcovers for the first book and the second book are a pain in the ass. But I hope to get those. Maybe I'll get them for Christmas and splurge a little on those. Who knows? But those aren't going to be in the near future. Probably not. They're just so expensive. But yeah, I'm cool having this. So yeah, that's that. Speaking of Game of Thrones, what you'll see is that a good chunk of this haul is actually from a little outing I had. I went to Second and Charles looking just for some used books, just for the collection. Went out with a bang, and I found these. I mean, I don't really have a reason to have these, but I just wanted them because they look cool. Just a collector's thing. I did get this mass market paperback of the first book, just Jon Snow. That's pretty cool. That's pretty unique. Yeah, it's just a cool design to have for the collection. And then I got a mass market of the second book with that OG cover design. I just thought those were cool and unique. So yeah, that's why I got those. I already have mass markets of the whole series of just like the newer ones that they did. And then I also have book club editions of like the first edition, covers, like the hard covers. So now this is yet another edition I have of Game of Thrones that I didn't really need, but it is what it is. So moving on, I'm actually going to stick to this theme we got going, mass markets. Now honestly, for a while there, I was kind of against getting mass markets and paperbacks and whatnot, but I'm just recently starting to really see the value of mass market paperbacks. They're really cool because trade paperbacks aren't the only options, y'all. I started doing this thing where, I wanted to stop getting paperbacks because I would end up getting a paperback and then wanting to get the hardcover after, and then just end up spending more money than I would have if I just got the hardcover off rip. Which probably isn't the most efficient thing to do, especially if you end up getting a whole series and not end up liking it. Regardless, one thing I did last month, I believe it was in last month's haul. In fact, I'll grab it real quick. I did end up picking up Son of the Black Sword by Larry Correia. This is the Saga of the Forgotten Warrior, and that's a series that I really want to read. And honestly, I might have to toss this into the TBR this year just because it looks awesome. It's one of these little mass market paperbacks I can just throw in my bag for traveling. Anyway, I got this little mass market paperback. It's cool to just like throw in your bag kind of deal, especially when I'm vacationing this summer. Don't want to, have a huge hardcover in my bag necessarily. Anyway, this costed me like $5. So rather than getting a trade paperback of a series, not that this is in trade paperback, but just an example, and end up spending way more than you mean to, spend $5 on a little mass market paperback just to trial run the series, and see if you do want to end up investing in those hardcovers. And then, so I'll run with this and then probably end up getting the whole series in hardcover if I end up really liking this book. That being said, I wasn't expecting to get any more of these just because I wanted to read this one first before getting more books in that series. But then I went to Second and Charles, and then I found the second book, and this costed me like $1. So I could not pass that up. I already had the first book, and so the second book, and kind of a little worn out mass market, but hey, there's no problem with that. It's all good in the neighborhood. So yeah, spent $1 on it and got a little copy of House of Assassins. Next up, also sticking with the theme of the mass markets, this summer, obviously, like I said, I wanted to start reading Oathbringer, and you guys know that is a ginormous book, and if I'm bringing it in my bag, that's gonna take a lot of bag space that I don't want to spend on just one book. So again, I spent a similar amount, maybe $5, and got Oathbringer in the mass market paperback, just so that I have it to this little cinder block to bring with me on my vacation. I'm probably thinking if I should even start reading out of my big one while I'm still here, like near my home, or if I should just start reading out of this one. I mean, I probably should just start reading this one. It's whatever. But anyway, again, besides the point, I keep on rambling. Just what I would like to call a vacation copy. So I don't have to lug around that huge book. So I did pick up that. More Stormlight stuff, kind of unique. At my store, I was just kind of messing around, like, I'm not messing around, but I was what they call recovering, cleaning bookshelves and stuff, and I was in a section that I never really go to. It's like the clearance section, not the normal like bargain book section, which is pretty dope, but just like this weird clearance section that's full of L. Ron Hubbard books, that, you know, that crazy cultist dude. Anyway, they also have audiobooks apparently. And I was just looking at them, and it caught my eye, just out of the corner of my eye. Stormlight Archive. That's pretty cool. And it's graphic audio too. So just recently, I found out what graphic audio was, and I was listening to bits and pieces of the Stormlight Archive audiobook, like on YouTube and stuff, and I was really digging it. And I even looked at these. It's funny I found this because just a couple of weeks ago, or a few weeks ago, I was actually like listening to parts of it, and I was really enjoying it. And yeah, for like, again, oh shoot, less than $5, found this. And granted, it's like a little random piece, 4 or 5 of the Way of Kings, but it's still cool to have. And I found it randomly. And then that got me thinking, well, maybe I can track down the other pieces of it and see. So I went on eBay, and then I did find this is 3 of 5. So I have 3 and 4 of 5 of the Way of Kings audiobook. I want to find a way to import these CDs onto my computer and then compile all of the hours of content into just one huge file where you can just listen to the entire book all the way through, effectively making your own audiobook without having to break it up into all these pieces. So maybe that could be a project I can work on in the near future. Moving on, some more stuff I found at Second and Charles, which is honestly going to be most of the rest of this haul. So a little while back, I did pick up some, in fact, they're actually right here, some hardcover book club editions of Tad Williams' Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series that I'm interested in. I want to read, just not anytime soon. But Tad Williams is an author that interests me, and I only managed to find Dragonbone Chair into Green Angel Tower, which, if you don't know, are books 1 and 3 of that series. So I did find book 2. This isn't the same like copy. It's not like a book club edition, so it's not necessarily a matching set. But it's better than not having a copy of this book at all and just having books 1 and 3. So at least I have something. So this is a floppy paperback of book 2, and I really do dig the way that looks there. I know that, you know, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn had a big inspiration on George R. Martin specifically. So that's part of the reason why I do want to get into this series. But just off of like looking at the cover here, this guy reminds me of it's been a while, I think Jaquen Hagar or whatever, the guy that Arya was with for a while, just because he's got like the streak in his hair. That's just kind of what that reminded me of when I saw it. Wonder if there was any inspiration in that aspect, but yeah, so got Stone of Farewell there. And then they had some other copies of some Tad Williams stuff that I'm unfamiliar with. It would just look cool, so I picked it up. And again, these are also like book club editions. I found War of the Flowers by Tad Williams. And then I did find Shadow March. I know almost nothing about these other than The art is just that classic fantasy. They just look dope, and they were dirt cheap. So I thought, why not have them in the collection? That's kind of unique, and maybe I'll get to them someday. The next two things I found there are just absolutely awesome. I was not expecting to find these at all, and I'm not sure how rare these are, but I had never seen them before. But I saw the author name when I was like walking through the sci-fi fantasy section, and when I realized what they were, I added them to my little cart immediately. I did find The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. This is just a really cool, different looking hardcover I had never seen before. Of course, this is part of that First Law series, and I haven't actually read the first series yet. I have the first 3 books, and this is one of the standalone novels that ties into that that world, I guess. And it has some characters from the original series. It's supposed to bridge the first series with the second, as far as I'm aware. And yeah, it's a beloved series, and I've never seen these hardcovers before. So I did get The Heroes, and then the one that I like personally, I did find Best Served Cold. That is a cool looking hardcover there. And I'm pretty sure this is like a first edition or something. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So I did get those 2 Joe Abercrombie hardcovers. Again, I'm not sure how rare those are. I know I've never seen them before, which, I mean, it's not saying a lot, but a lot of people have some other different looking editions of those. But yeah, I saw them for like $5 again, and thought, why not? Like that was an instant. Once I saw it, added it to my cart, because I figured maybe those were kind of sought after, and I wanted to make sure I secured them. And lastly, the last thing I have in the haul this month is a book that was sent to me by the author. Again, huge thank you to CJ Ervin for sending me Gilded Kingdom, his 7th Born. This is his book. Really cool. He reached out to me, I think, at the end of last year, and asked me if I wanted it. We were talking for a minute, and then the holidays rolled around and stuff, but he reached out again, earlier in the month, asked if I had wanted it still, and I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, probably not going to get to it soon, but I mean, I'll definitely take a copy and promote your stuff here, see if anybody wants to check it out. As far as I know, there's not very many reviews, if not any at all, on this book. So yeah, definitely check it out. He said it's a lot like Game of Thrones, and I mean, everybody says that, but he said if you like Game of Thrones, you'd probably like this. So maybe we'll check it out here. One thing I do have a problem with, I'm not a fan of, is I basically put a watermark on the book, and you spend all this time doing this cover art, and then you got like a watermark that goes through this dude's face, and it just kind of looks tacky. So, I mean, I get when you send people review copies and free copies of your book, you don't want them to just turn around and sell it. But I mean, I wasn't going to do that anyway, but I mean, look, man, and it goes all the way through the book. It goes through your blurb, you know? Like, that's not cool. So, yeah, I don't really, that's a little extra, and just in my opinion, but it is what it is. It looks interesting enough, so shout out to the boy, CJ Ervin, for sending me a copy. As always, I accept free stuff. I have no problem saying that. And even if I'm not going to get to it just yet, it's awesome that people are writing books and stuff. And I definitely feel the struggle as, coming to be an author myself. I want people to check out my stuff, so I'm willing to send my stuff out, and it's cool that other people do that too, following their dreams, as Mike would say. So yeah, it's really cool. And that is about all I have for today as far as the haul. I guess as far as my reading plans for next month, it's really finishing this, and like I said, getting into Oathbringer. I'm not sure if there's going to be anything in between. Probably not. So these are the two things that are on my list for the coming month. So stay tuned to see how well I do on that. Definitely need to finish Empire of Silence before I start anything else, obviously. So yeah, we'll see. That's all I have for today, guys. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.